Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. So today, I'm going to start a little mini-series where I'm looking at my recommended pens. So we're going to today look at my 5 recommended Chinese pens. In future videos, we're going to look at starter pens, what I call intermediate, so the next level type pen, and then also my grail pens. So join me now, down on the table, let's jump on in. Welcome down to the table. So here we've got our notepad of testing. This is an A4 notebook. It's made by Ayush, which is an Indian-based company. It's 100 GSM paper. There's a slight texture to it, and it's got a slight creaminess to the paper. Now I'm just going to turn it slightly on the side because, to be honest, it makes it easier for me to hold the pens. I know I say this all the time, but I just like to make sure everybody knows why I'm doing it. So we're going to take a look at 5 recommended pens that I would suggest for someone who's brand new to the fountain pen hobby, wants to get into looking at Chinese pens. So these are 5 pens that I think are well worth looking at. I'm limiting this to mainland China. So every time I say China in this video, it's purely mainland China. So the first pen, this comes from Jinhao. And this is the Jinhao 100 Centennial. I've got loads of Jinhao pens. I must have nearly 50. What I'm trying to do in these videos is it's only one pen per manufacturer. So I thought, yeah, this one is going to be the ideal one to try. So this is a cartridge converter pen. There's the converter there. You can see the ink. This is the skeleton model. There's loads of different colours, loads of different models of the Jinhao 100. This is my 4th that I've got, so I quite like them. Now, the nib on here isn't the nib it came with. This is one of the things I wanted to show in this selection. This Jinhao pen comes with a number 6 nib. What I've done is I've swapped it. So this nib in here, it's an Italics Pens medium cursive italic nib. Now, I struggle sometimes because I have to remember to change the orientation when I'm writing with this, because most nibs, I'm just going to fetch in the next pen just so you can see a look at the nib. There we go. Most nibs are fairly pointed, whereas this, we've got a slant here and the cursive nature coming in. I love the line this gives though. So yeah, this one, not what you would buy, but it's showing that you can easily start to customize your pens. You're not stuck with that nib that you get it with. So we've got here so this is what I'm saying, I need to remember to orientate this nib properly. There we go. Jinhao 100. And this, as I said, I'm just going to say it's a medium cursive italic nib. Price for this pen, so that for the pen alone, you're talking roughly 27 Aussie dollars. The nib, as we said, that medium cursive italic, and the ink, which really shows off well in this nib, is by Colorverse. There we go. And it's Kilonova. Kilonova. I don't know, my spelling today is atrocious. So what I like with this pen is line variation. So there's going down, there's going across. So you can see we've got different line variation coming out. And this ink, this Colorverse, let's get that C right, Kilonova, really nice sheening ink. Let me just do a little bit of a thingamajiggy bob there. I know technical terms. We'll come back and look at that in a second. So drying times, we go immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. After a minute, we're still getting a tiny bit of a smudge, very similar to what we saw at that 30 seconds. So as a combo, this does take quite a while to dry. So this is the Jinhao 100. Coming up next, I know you've had a quick look at it already. I'm just going to move this up ever so slightly. We've got the Kaigelu 316. So this model is very similar to what we see with the shape of that Jinhao. Let me just fetch it in and hold them both next to each other. So very similar. I've only got 2 Kaigelus. the nibs on these I absolutely love. They are very wet writing nibs. I love this colour. This is called Aloe. Again, there's a whole series of different colours. Cartridge converter again. There we go, there's that converter. And on here, as I've already said, we've got that Kaigelu nib. This is really comfortable to use, really comfortable to hold. Same with that Jinhao 100 really. So we've got here a Kaigelu 316. It's got a medium nib. Price for this pen is approximately 28 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine and it's mint twist. Now this is twist, not twisty. Twist. There we go. I'll just do another little scribble. This is meant to be a chameleon ink, but I've got to be honest, I do struggle seeing any chameleon in it. Drying time, so we go immediate. 10 seconds. Nearly dry there by the look of it. 30 seconds. Still getting a tiny smudge. Let's go for that 1 minute. After a minute there, that's nice and dry. We will come back and look at all the inks after they've had a chance to dry. So that's the Kaigelu 316. Coming up next from PenBBS, we've got a PenBBS and this is a 308. We've got a couple of these. So here we've got another cartridge converter. There we go. Now, it's plastic fittings. The other two are metal fittings, so all plastic in here. We've even got an O-ring, which means if you wanted to risk it, you could potentially eyedropper this. I don't, I just use the converter. The section here, the other two were black sections. Here, that section material is carrying on. And then there we've got the PenBBS nib. Similar to, well, both the other two, you could change the nib if you wanted. So we've got here a PenBBS 308. Oh, this has got a medium nib. Price wise, you're looking at 36 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine and it's Cosmic Glow. This is another nice sheening ink. Let me just do a little scribble there. Drying times, there it goes, immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. One minute. After a minute there, that again looks nice and dry. So this is the PenBBS 308. Just move the page up ever so slightly. We've got two more pens to look at. Excuse the paper slightly lifting. I've got a desk fan on because it's fairly warm here. So that is obviously blowing across the page. Next up, from Wingsun, we've got a Wingsun 630. Now this is a piston filling pen. So it doesn't have a cartridge like the previous three did. What you've got is a piston mechanism here. I'm not going to work it because there's ink in it. So you would unscrew that, dip the pen in the ink, screw this back down. As it screws it back down, it pulls a piston that's inside the pen up. That draws the ink up after it. We've got a rather large window here. I know it's difficult to see because of the darkness of the ink, but you've got an idea of how much ink you've got. The nib on this is massive. This is a number 8 nib. I'm just going to fetch in that PenBBS, which had a number 6 nib on it. So you can see there, just look at the differences in them nib sizes. Size of the nib, though, doesn't equate to writing quality. But with this pen, with this nib, it looks right. So we've got here a Wingsun .630 with a fine nib. Now this nib feels a lot softer. There seems to be a little bit more of a spring to it as I'm writing. Price wise, you're looking at 46 Aussie dollars. The ink It's by Diamine. And it's Harmony. Now on here it's looking a lot bluer than normal. Normally it's like a nice dark burgundy type colour. Drying times, we've got immediate. Get a clean finger. There we go. You can see that purple there, like a dusty purple. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. After a minute there, that one's nice and dry. Now I'm just going to do a scribble here. I don't expect to see anything really particular coming from this because this is just a standard ink. So that's the Wingsung 630. The final pen, just move this up. This is from Majohn. This is a Majohn P139. Bit of a short, stubby looking pen. It's nice and comfortable to use though. It's also a fairly chunky pen. So this one, it's another one that's a piston filler. So again, we've got that piston in here. We've got the ink window, so hopefully you can get an idea there of the ink levels. Should just hopefully be able to see that ink flowing around in there. The nib on this, number 6 size, but if you look at the bottom, let me just see if I can get this to focus for you. Oh, it's difficult. There we go. I think that's about right. If you look at the bottom, there's like a larger foot on that. So we get a larger contact with the paper. So we get a slightly better line. You can get this with a number 8 nib as well. So this is a Majohn P139. And the nib, they called it a foutain nib. Price wise, you're looking approximately 77 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine. And it's all the best. I always want to write big with this pen. And then let's do our scribble. This is a sheening and a shimmering ink. Although I don't often see a lot of the shimmer, but when it comes out, it's very nice. Drying time, so we go immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Still getting a teeny tiny smudge there. Now with this nib, here's going down, here's going across. So very similar to what we're seeing with that cursive italic, but this is just like that normal shape. It doesn't have that cut off on the nib. So this is the Majohn P139. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. And I'm going to fetch in this notepad. This is from Goulet Pens. This is, I've had it a few years. This is 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and it's the old style of Tomoe River paper. What I thought I'd do is do my sentences on a slightly different paper so you can see how the inks and the pens behave on different papers. So we're going to start, as with the other one, with the Jinhao 100. So we've got here a... Oh, why am I writing the name? I don't know, I should be fired. I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen write. Just had to take a slight pause there to turn the fan off because it was just blowing this paper around too much. That's nice. I enjoy writing with this. It's a nice weight to it. Nice scratching. It's got nice feedback. Now with the Kaigelu. Another enjoyable pen that doesn't feel as, the best way I can describe it, as catchy, where the Jinhao 100 with that medium cursive italic, it feels like it's catching on the paper, whereas that was more gliding over the paper. Now the PenBBS 308. It felt very similar to what I was getting with that Kaigelu. The Winsung 630. Peeling my hand off. I like that. Again, it got a little bit more bounce to it, like I was saying when we were using the first notepad. Enjoyable though. Then finally, the Majohn, and this is the Majohn P139. In terms of audibleness, all of them seem to be very similar. In terms of smoothness, the last four were fairly smooth, fairly enjoyable, where that first one, as I've already said, it seemed like it was catching the paper. Let's move this out of the way, and I'll fetch back in the Ayush paper, and we can see with them little things, how is the ink showing. So, starting with the Colorverse Kilonova there in the Jinhao 100. Not really seeing a lot. Seeing some of that red sheen coming through. Not sure though if the camera catches any of it. With the Kaigelu 316, where I've scribbled, I'm seeing some of that chameleon coming through. But in the writing, again, not really seeing that much of the chameleon. With the PenBBS and Diamine Cosmic Glow, wow, just look at that beautiful red sheen. Again, let me try and angle this so the camera can pick it up. Absolutely glowing. Every single letter glowing with that gorgeous red. The Winsung 630 with Diamine Harmony. Say this is a standard ink. As it's dried, we've got more of that dusty purple coming through. And finally, down here with the P139 and Diamine All the Best. Seeing loads of beautiful gold sheen coming through. Not seeing much of the shimmer. The shimmer should be like a blue. But I don't often see a lot of shimmer with this ink. So these were the pens. So we had the Jinhao 100. We had the Kaigelu 316. The PenBBS 308. The Winsung 630. And the Majohn P139. So I've tried to pick 5 pens. We've got a range of prices, and I know you can get pens an awful lot cheaper, and I do have a lot of those. But I tried to pick ones that I think would give a good experience to somebody who's new to Chinese pens. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What do you think of my selection? How would you change it? What pens should be on there? What pens shouldn't be on there? Please drop your thoughts, your comments, and your recommendations down below. Let's kickstart a conversation. Please hit that thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.